going to be cutting emissions, carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gas emissions in the UK by 80% by 2050, and households are responsible for about 27% of those emissions.
So the 21st Century Living Project took 100 households, selected as far as possible to be representative of the country as a whole. The project gave them some advice via an initial audit, gave them £500, it gave them support, and then it came back at the end to see what they'd done. And the aim was to see how far they'd reduced their environmental footprint.
Well, we first got involved with the project about 2 years ago. We decided that rather than rely on customer surveys or focus groups, we wanted to gather some real practical information about what customers wanted and needed to make their homes more environmentally friendly. So we chose 100 homes from the Homebase loyalty database that were representative of the UK and set them that challenge of living more sustainably for a year.
So we wanted to find out, right at the beginning of the project, what everybody was doing in their homes, how they were living in their homes, and what environmental improvements they'd already put into their homes. So we devised the audit, so we would have people going into these homes and asking people direct questions.
How many of your lights have got low
All
in?
of them.
All of them. Reflective radiator panels?
No.
No.
We've got an absolute ton of data. In my office I've got a stack of questionnaires about this big. Questionnaires that related to really simple things to measure, like how much double glazing people had, whether they had any insulation, how many light bulbs were incandescent light bulbs, that type of stuff, all the way through to these attitudes and values, how people think and relate to the environment.
We had a report done by the project on basically the way we live, and we realised there were many areas in which we could do better. A gentleman came with a special camera which showed us where we were losing heat in particular in the house. There were 2 spots which showed up blue, which means an immense heat loss.
As the study found, when you show people pictures of the energy, the heat, the thermal energy that's escaping from their houses, it has that sort of effect as well. You say, wow, I mean, I didn't know that my house was actually so leaky of energy, money and carbon.
Right at the beginning of the project, we had a clear picture of what everybody was doing. So that was done at the beginning. And then 12 months later, we went back in again and we said, okay, now you've had a year, now you've had some advice, now you've had some money, what have you done?
The main thing we did was to make sure that in our loft space we had a much better insulation than hitherto. I mean, previously we had 4 inches, we discovered, in the loft. And it was okay, the house was reasonably warm and so on, but we realised we could do better, especially when we were told that you should have something like 10, 11, 12 inches up there. So we had that insulated up to around about 12 inches.
About 60% of the households improved their level or increased the level of insulation that they had in their house. And it's almost 40% of them actually had increased it to the recommended level.
We think that this is the best thing that came out of this project. People were insulating their houses with a little bit of advice. People do the right thing, and insulation is one of the best things that you can do to reduce your household energy use.
The impact's been tremendous. I mean, we reckon we've saved about 20% on our heating bill this year.
Money and savings were a big driver for action. So the biggest changes took place in terms of energy consumption, because you can see the savings through your energy bill, which you obviously can't with waste and water as much.
One of the best things we were given by the project was this little gadget there, which shows you how much energy you're using. And you then mend your ways by immediately going in the kitchen and switch some things off.
A monitor that tells you how much energy you're using at any one point in time actually does change your behaviour. It brings energy right into the foreground, and you understand in both that you're using a lot of energy here and you're spending a lot of money here and you're creating a lot of carbon here, or alternatively you look around for the things that were on and you don't need them on and you turn them off.
It just comes as second nature now, doesn't it? You go out of the room, if you're not in the room, turn the light out. There's no point in lighting it up for everybody else.
Before, we took an awful lot of things for granted. You'd walk round and leave lights on, it would be like Buckingham Palace.
In the 21st Century Living Project, we gave everybody £500. People spent it, but they also spent more. So for every £1 we gave them, they spent £1 of their own money. So that small amount of money unlocked a great amount of money from the people involved in the project.
The £500 is a very good start. We've probably spent roughly double that on everything that we've done.
Compost bins, water butts. We've put £300 aside because we're going to have a shower fitted.
Well, because I've got to use a bath seat, it means I use twice as much water, so we thought it'd be easier if we got a shot of that.
The interesting things that have come out of the project relate to the fact that actually you don't need to be green to go green. This was quite a revelation to us because actually in the past all studies are showing that you know, if you have green values then you're much more likely to do green things. But actually you don't. This project hasn't shown that at all. It's shown that actually if you give people money, the incentive and the information, then they'll actually do something.
Everybody made positive changes in their homes. So it showed that given the right incentives and the right information, everybody has the appetite to make their homes greener. It wasn't about values, it wasn't about personal beliefs, it wasn't about social demographic group. In fact, some of the C2D lower demographic households made the biggest changes.
It's been good fun, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, we really enjoyed it. And it's like been a competition to see who could recycle the most.
And who turns out the lights quicker.
Yeah.
Because the 21st Century Living Project has shown that everybody will take action if the question is framed in the right way. This is big news for retailers. Up to this point, they've always thought that the green market was niche. 7% of people would act green. Well, get it right, get the framing right, and everybody will act green. So instead of a few 100,000 consumers, you've got millions of consumers.
One of the most important findings from a home-based viewpoint is that the environment and saving the environment is for everyone. It's not just for those that consider themselves as green.
It's been very enjoyable taking part in this project because you do have these positive feelings, you know, that you're getting more control over your life, more control over your use of resources. You're doing something useful, something good. You feel virtuous.
And you're being rewarded for it as well.
And you're being rewarded, yeah. It ticks all the boxes.
From this point on, we're going to make sure that we share the findings of this project with our suppliers and make sure that we're helping them as much as we can identify products and services to be developed in the future. We're also taking on board the findings and the development of our own services. Now we know a bit more about how customers want us to help them make their homes more energy efficient. We'll obviously build that into our strategies.
I think the thing that most affects people is the feeling that you can change your own local life, the life around about you. I don't think there's much point in beating people around the head with statistics about global trends and you know, one airplane trip too many per year or whatever. It's what you get up with every day, the warmth of your house, the productivity of your garden.
One of the interesting findings for us is the huge demand for information, and that information is not just general information, it's very personalised information targeted what individuals can do in their own home to save energy.
The finding that with the right framing everybody could do this could be huge, because it means that the manufacturers and the retailers will be able to put investment into it, and when they invest the products will get better and cheaper and easier to use, and that in turn will drive more people to take them up. So we get a virtuous circle.
The other thing is that it's not complicated. These simple things just make a real difference. Things like insulating your loft, changing your light bulbs, and just doing things that you enjoy doing, like spending time in the garden with your family. Absolutely, it makes a huge difference.
The project's made it quite clear that most people can do quite a lot to reduce the waste from their homes, waste energy, waste water. And I think most people will do so. I think that was the evidence we found.
The 21st Century Living Project was a great project. We worked with 100 households over a year and we discovered that you don't have to be green to go green. It's easier than you think, and that if you give people a bit of information and a little bit of money, they do the right thing.